Hello and welcome to Jesus is the Key to Reentry. I'm back and I'm just so happy to be back. I took a little bit of break. Y'all know that week before last, we had our Restoring the Broken workshop. And when I tell you, it was just a huge success. And so I'm so thankful to all of you who came, all of you who supported, all of you who helped make it happen. I am just so grateful to God and to you. I do believe that we are the hands and feet of Jesus. So I could not have done it without you. To our guests, to our speakers that came, that shared. I'm telling you, I've been receiving a lot of feedback. And so I'm just ready to see what God has in store next. We have some other opportunities. We have some other programs, workshops that's going to be taking place. We're getting ready to get ready for Angel Tree, which you know is very huge for me, as I am a justice ambassador through Prison Fellowship. So I'm so excited about that. So I will be giving you the updates as I go along. But what I want to do first is I want to say Happy Recovery Month. Happy Recovery Month for those of you who are in recovery, whether it's from drugs, whether it's from alcohol, or whatever. That's what we are celebrating in the month of September. So congratulations to each and every one of you. So those of you who are watching and you are in recovery, go ahead and put your recovery date in the comments because I want to celebrate you and I want to just congratulate you on a job well done. I never had a struggle with a drug or alcohol addiction, but I know what addiction is like. And I know it's hard sometimes, and especially when different life situations come against you and at you, sometimes we go back to what we know. But I'm so grateful to God and I'm so grateful to you on making it through. Also, we are celebrating suicide or prevention month as well. I too have tried to commit suicide more times than I can even count. And if it wasn't for the grace of God, I would not be here today. So I want to congratulate those of you who are struggling and you haven't thrown in the towel and you said, I'm still got purpose to do. What's up, Charity? How are you doing today? Thank you for coming in. Thank you for coming in. Um, so I do salute you. And I do want you to know, and I should have put the suicide prevention number up, but I will do it. I'll make sure I get it as we get into the podcast. So if you ever feeling those times of loneliness or where you want to give up, reach out to someone. Reach out to someone and message me. I'm telling you, I'm here. I'm here because I know what it's like. I've been there and done that. So I'm going to go ahead and bring our guest in, Kandis Bruning. Um, I was with her. We did time together, actually in Ellisville, Alabama. Fed time, y'all. Yeah, yeah. She was working in psychologist at the time that we met. We was in a building, and I was just remarkable at the love that she had for the Lord. And when she began to tell me her story while we was incarcerated, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it because this is not the person that I know and the person that I see now. So I want to go ahead and bring her in. Candace,
Hello,
welcome.
hello, hello.
What are you doing?
Girl, I'm making dinner.
She's making dinner. Okay.
Hamburger helper, stovetop. What is it? It's stroganoff hamburger helper. That's what's for dinner tonight.
All right. So
So
she's look,
anyway.
we're live and she's making dinner. She still got responsibilities,
Yes.
things that you got to do, right?
Yes, real life.
So real life.
Definitely.
So
You might see my husband come through at some point. He's downstairs at his
stop
office
and wave at
working.
him.
So,
We'll stop and wave at hubby. But
yeah.
I'm so happy that you agreed to come. It's been a long time, but I do remember, was it a year or two I saw you in St. Louis?
Yeah, St. Louis.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
That was amazing. Was it? It had to have been.
Yes, about 2 years now.
Was
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Time
thank you.
flies. Yes. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Well, we're going to go ahead and start, and I'm going to ask you a little bit, and everybody who knows that this is, and I need to share to your page real quick and to some other pages, but I'm gonna ask you a question. So if y'all see me moving around or whatever, that's what I'm doing. It's not like I'm not paying attention. She's gonna be cooking. I'm gonna be doing some other things.
Yeah. I
Um,
feel like the sun is like beaming in, like
you're
right across my face.
right. Okay, so I don't want to talk too. Tonight's episode is about From Prison to Purpose, Kandis' story of faith, clemency, and new beginnings. Okay, so we're going to talk today about the choices that led her to incarceration, how her faith carried her through the darkest seasons. Um, she received clemency from our former president Barack Obama. Life after prison. The different losses and different things that you experience, what's going on with her today. So that's what we're going to talk about. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to kind of share a little bit about your background and that the choices that eventually led you into incarceration.
Well, I was, I don't know, my life of choices was codependency, and not even with drugs at first. I didn't start doing drugs until October 1st of 1994. But before that, I found myself in relationships that I had no business being in. Controlling or codependency was my thing. I was very codependent on people, men, trying to find love in all the wrong places. I thought that by having a child would give me the love that I was seeking. So I was pregnant at the age of 15. Uh, two to 3 months into it, I met and married my first husband, but it was after we had our second child is when we got married. And then we divorced and separated and everything for, off and on for 22 years. That's a whole nother story. Uh, then he remarried, I remarried, and when I remarried, I was on the path to hell and didn't know it. And that's when I started using meth. And it just, it feels good at first. You are superwoman. It's just like the enemy does. He wants to entice you, make you feel good, and this is all good. I was superwoman, super mom, super wife, super all these things, right? Until I wasn't. So after 9 years in and out of state prison and treatment, I finally was out of that relationship, but not before I became pregnant with my youngest son and was incarcerated when I found out I was pregnant. And I ended up having him in state prison. And he lived with the Mennonites for 18 months until I came home from state prison in '03. And then in '04, I ended up moving back in with my mom and I started using again. And then I got into another relationship that was just, it wasn't, he was one of the biggest meth dealers in Franklin County, and he was 20 years older than me. And I thought it was a good relationship, because and he even, my parole officer was like, no, this is unacceptable. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, you can't live here. This is not a good place for you to live, da 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 da. And I was so scared that I didn't know what to do. I was young. He's like, well, I'll get you an apartment in town and you and Cody can go and I'll pay all your bills. And I'm like, no, let's get married. What? Why would I think that? There's that codependent. I didn't know how to be alone. I wanted somebody to take care of me. I needed somebody to take care of me because I didn't know how to do it myself. Um, so then I ended up, staying in the drugs, and then I don't know, it just led to one thing after another, and then I ended up moving down south to Morley, Missouri, and married my daughter's dad. And then, I married him and got pregnant with my daughter, and then we moved back in with my mom after she was born. And then he ended up going to prison, and I was trying to do the right thing. I was finally up on my feet. I had a job. Was looking at Cody and Candace and I were looking at a home to purchase, and we were doing it, and then I got hurt at work. So then I couldn't work anymore. So now I'm stuck at my mom's, and it just wasn't a good place. And then I met somebody who was straight out of prison, and he landed me he landed me rescued, I call it, by the feds. But before that, I guess I ended up so deep into the relationship and staying so high that I didn't recognize or realize what was going on around me. I was injecting 2.5 grams of methamphetamine, IV drug using for doing that 6 and 7 times a day until and I hated it. I hated getting high with a passion. But at this point in my life, it's all I knew. So I didn't know how. So unconsciously, I feel like I was trying to commit suicide, but not like
But you get
intentionally
to do
doing
that.
it. Like I'm just gonna go out and do it. No, I was injecting more and more drugs, and then built my tolerance up to where it's just like I couldn't even sleep. I had to do more just to pass out, and it was a sad place in my life. And the kids were in foster care at this time, Cody and Katie. KD is my baby girl. Her name is Candace Starlene. We call her KD or Candace, but she's 20 now.
Okay. So
And
let me stop you real quick. So Cody was with the Mennonite family, correct?
he lived with the Mennonites for the first 18 months of his life.
Okay.
And I got him back. So then he was my sidekick.
Okay. How
Because
how long? What transpired? How? Because I'm listening to you, and then I want to say congratulations on your recovery. How long
thank
have you
you.
been clean and sober?
Oh my gosh, since '07.
Since '07.
What is
No,
it? 18, 19 years?
awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
So congratulations to
Thank
you.
you. Thank
So
you.
no
Thank you.
desire.
No, none. God delivered me from smoking. I'd never had a desire for drinking, so that wasn't ever a thing. From smoking, from drugs, from feeling like I need to be in a relationship or I need somebody to take care of me. I know that I can do it on my own. I choose today to be in love with my husband because love is a choice.
Hmm.
So every day I choose to love him,
Okay.
and
Because
every day I choose to love myself.
and that's the key of us loving ourselves, because a lot
Hmm.
of times, Candace, and I can relate to you going from relationship to relationship, because I was trying to find love. I
Yeah.
was trying to find somebody who was going to take care of me, not in a financial way, but
But
more of that security.
internal.
Yeah,
Yeah, an
more
internal
internal.
thing. The thing that only God can do.
Right,
But we didn't know that at the time. We thought it was people. And
right.
that's the way I was raised because my mom was in and out of relationships. So I thought that's how it was
So
until I
when
ended up in like abusive relationships for years.
so you gave the date of when you got arrested by the feds, and
Hmm.
some say busted by the feds.
I
Um,
rescued. I was rescued, girl, rescued.
rescued
Yes,
by the
I
feds.
was
Okay.
rescued by the feds.
So did you have a relationship with the Lord when
Mm-mm.
you went in?
No, but what's weird is I knew I was the CEO Christmas, Easter, and that kind
Hmm.
of, but that was when I was a kid.
Hmm.
I didn't know that Jesus died on the cross. I didn't know all that. Um, so no, I did not have a relationship with Jesus or God, but something inside me. Okay, going through the treatment centers that I had been through, I had met and was introduced to Celebrate Recovery. So I
Hmm.
was learning.
Ooh, ooh, celebrate
Yes,
recovery.
yes, Celebrate Recovery. And that's when my daughter was born. I went to one of their meetings and I dedicated her to the Lord at Celebrate Recovery. So
Hmm.
I was learning, about the Lord and Jesus and all this stuff. And yes, I think I gave myself to Christ when I was in state prison. I think I asked him, but I was just like, okay, I did it. Now I'm saved and I don't have to do the footwork. I
Mm-hmm.
don't, because I didn't know. I didn't have somebody walking along to teach me the ropes, right?
Right.
So I was just like, yes, I said the prayer. I'm saved. I'm good. Blah, done. Continue to live my life the way I lived my life because I didn't know any different. But so going in, so I didn't really know the Lord, but something in me said the day of May 17th, 07, something's inside me said, stop us because we can't stop ourselves. I didn't verbally say it. I didn't verbally hear it. I heard it in the pits of me. And when we got arrested 5 minutes later, I said, thank you, Jesus, as I was getting out of the truck.
How much time did you get?
They sentenced me to 262 months. That's 21 years, 10 months.
Yeah, because I was going to tell me that because I couldn't count that high.
Yeah,
21
it's
years.
21 years, 10 months because I was a career criminal.
Okay, so for the people who don't know what a career criminal is.
I got arrested with the feds for the same thing that I got arrested for and served time for in the state. So because it was all manufacturing and meth, then it was habitual career.
So okay, so you got this career criminal charge for manufacturing methamphetamines.
Career
So
or distribution, anything to do with meth is what a career, because it was a consistent.
okay, so the manufacturing, the distributing, and
hmm
you're also using.
Yes.
Okay. Like I'm trying to figure out and this is because of ignorance, like how can a person be using um
I was the girlfriend or the wife of all the people that were selling or making. I
okay,
was just the girlfriend.
okay.
But in 99, I took a manufacturing case for my second husband because he had just gotten out of prison and I didn't want him to go back because I didn't know how to live life.
Hmm.
So I took the manufacturing charge and got probation when he would have went back to prison. I was 18.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. All
Yeah.
right, so let's go back to your faith. You gave your
So I
life to
didn't,
Christ.
yeah, so I didn't know. I was in St. Genevieve County Jail, and all that was on the TV was Joyce Meyer's church channels. I was in southern Missouri, so they call that skimming the Bible Belt,
Hmm.
because I think the Bible Belt starts where you're at up to Texas, like down. So I'm at the bottom of Missouri, so skimming it. But um, so it was a lot of Joyce Myers, a lot of church, a lot of things like that going on. So I got to learn, and that's all that was there. And when I first got there, I walked in and they're like, "Oh, girl, what are you here for?" I said, "Book and release," and they all started laughing. And I called them the B word and went on up to my room and went to sleep.
Hmm.
And I slept for, I don't know, a couple days. The girls would get me up for count. I was the single man rooms, so I didn't have a roommate. Uh, and then this lady down the hall from me, like three doors down, her name was Bridget Skinner. And after I got like some wits about me a little bit, she brought me down to her room and told me that she had some snacks. And so asked me if I wanted some snacks. And so I went down there and would just curl up on the bottom of her bunk and she would read the Bible to me. And I believe that that was the beginning of the seeds being sowed because I have no nothing that is linked to me. I have no twitches. My mind is right. I don't have any kind of noticeable nothing that links me to meth.
Amen.
And it's all because of God. My teeth wasn't bad, and it's all because of the Lord. And I feel like my mind is sane today because she started sowing those seeds.
Amen. And so we thank God for those people that um that are our seed sowers, and we,
Hmm.
because a lot of times we've had seeds planted and people say, well, I prayed, and it seems like nothing happens. But all
Hmm.
we got to do is just plant the seeds.
Yes.
God will send somebody to water them. God will send someone to
Yeah.
cause the increase. God will, he does everything. And a lot of times we're looking for, okay, God, I don't prayed, I don't did that, and person still ain't come to Christ. But all we got to do is just plant the seeds, right?
Hmm. Just plant them, and eventually you'll see the crops. I mean, it's you can't go out and plant a seed in a cornfield and go back the next day and boom, there's a whole corn stalk. No, you have to wait over time for it to be, you know.
Right.
So
So,
what was it, July 31st of 2007 is when I hit my knees and asked the Lord to live my life because I could not.
okay.
And at that time, I was in my cell crying hysterically because the realization of 22 years. I was only 32 years old, and I
Mm-hmm.
had an 18-month-old baby at home. She was the youngest of five, and I'm just like looking like she's going to be grown before I get home. My out date was June of 2026.
That's
I'm
now.
gonna I'm
Yep.
gonna let that soak in for a minute. That's like next year. That's June 20. I'm gonna let that soak in for a minute. And I've been home since 2018.
Amen. So from June 2026 to 2018, that's so God.
I should have been in prison this whole time,
Yeah, yeah.
but
Well,
God.
and I want
Okay.
to get into that because part of it is you received clemency. But tell me, how did you live your faith out loud in the prison, or how you're a believer now?
Yes.
So
From the
things.
moment from the moment I asked the Lord to live my life, I felt I always wanted to be a daddy's girl. My dad died in 2008, and I had just hit federal grounds, and I missed it. I wasn't there for it,
Hmm.
and um, and I always wanted to be a daddy's girl, but I never told anybody. But that day, that night, July 31st of 2007, I hit my knees and I said, Lord, live my life because I cannot.
Right.
And I felt like a warm blanket, but like hug so tight. And I heard, you've always been a daddy's girl.
Mm.
I've been waiting. And I was like looking around. I even got up and looked out my cell door because I'm like, who said that? Who said that? Because it was very audible,
Okay.
very like real, like standing right beside me. And I was like, okay, Lord. So I don't know if you know this, but going to prison for a very long time with people just like me or worse. Who's going to teach me? And all I heard was faith. And then he brought Bridget to mind. And I'm like, oh, that's where it started. That's where it starts. So I was just like, okay. So I started reading Joyce Meyer's books. And mind you, when I got to county jail, I couldn't read. I couldn't comprehend anything because my brain was so mush that I couldn't nothing. I could not form a proper sentence. I couldn't comprehend. I could not carry on a conversation. But God,
But God.
He transformed my mind. I ended up getting locked down in my cell for 14 days because I was circumventing the mail. I was having somebody pass letters through the laundry to my co-defendant, and we got caught. So I got put in jail, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I say it all the
So
time. Yeah.
yeah, so I was I was in lockdown for 14 days, and that was when I felt like God was paving my steps. And then after my 14 days of lockdown, I started having little meetings in my cell. We would read the Bible, we would talk about it, we would read a thing in Joyce Meyer's book, and we would talk about it. There was a girl named Nikki that came in, and she was withdrawing from heroin. and her mom. So my name is Candice Carlotta. I go by Carla here at home. Her mom was Carla, and so she claimed to me, and that's what I went by then. I didn't go by Candice. I went by Carla because that's who I was then, and I mean, that was my name growing up. So I nursed her and helped her and get back and to being whole again. And I never knew what happened to her, but anyway, I just started walking my faith. And there was this lady, her name was, I'm just going to say her first name. Her name was Denise. And she liked me, but then she didn't. And she would come at me like she was like, I don't even know, but she came to my room one day and she's like, like I was just thrown back because I didn't know what to do. I'm like, what is your deal with me? And then one day we was sitting down playing Skippo down there, and she just came down there and she just got in my face, and I'm like, what is wrong with you? What is your beef with me? And this evil look on her face and her eyes, she's like, you Jesus wannabe. And I stopped, and I'm like, that's why you're mad? Well, praise the Lord. I mean, okay, then stay mad at me because I'm not changing.
Right.
I'm not, because you rather me be like this than come at me the way you did and be who I used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like Jesus changed me like that. Just like when I asked him to live my life, I feel like everything was gone except for the codependency.
Oh, that's another whole subject for another whole day.
Whole nother day.
That's another whole subject.
Yes, whole nother
Honey,
girl.
I'm with you on that. I'm telling you,
But I conquered it.
That's a podcast in a podcast. You hear me?
Right?
Like, let's, because I want to really get into your reentry and what you're doing now. But talk about that day that you received clemency. I remember it. Okay.
Oh gosh. Okay, so I have to back up.
Okay.
Okay. So I was in Aliceville, Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, prior to that. So I started off in Carswell, Texas, and I ended up going up to Minnesota, Waseca, Minnesota. And that's where I had a pastor. There's a difference between a chaplain and a pastor. And we had a pastor up there, and he led his sheep to, what is it? He led his sheep to, what am I trying to say, sister? He led his sheep like Jesus did. He did not let one, if there was one struggling, he'd go and get it.
Mm-hmm.
And he pastored us, and he's the one who brought Celebrate Recovery to the prison.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up going to the group because, I was familiar with Celebrate Recovery. God was preparing me,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't realize, but back when my daughter was born, he was preparing me for this time. So Jace was like, hey, look at this thing that Pastor gave me. And I'm like, well, what is it? And she's like, I don't know, it says Celebrate. And I look at the book, and it's Celebrate Recovery on the inside. I said, girl, that's a great program. She's like, oh, you know about it? Here. And I'm like, nope. I wanted to be like Jonah, back in the back. But that's where like God paved me. I ended up being the head leader. I led several women into recovery, and then I trained a service dog while I was there. And then after I did that, I left and came to Alabama, and that's where I met you. And Alabama, I don't know, it just changed my life. And, with a long sentence like I had, you couldn't do a lot of the classes because it was more meant for the women who were getting ready to get out, that reentry thing, and they want the new people that only has a short amount of time to get out. So it's not really meant for the long-term people. So I got a job where I could get the help. Right. Psychology, there's where the classes were. That's where, psychology and the chapel were connected. So I was an orderly at the psychology and chaplain area. and
Mm-hmm.
that's where we met.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a job anywhere that I wanted to learn. I would get a job in that department, and I did not watch TV. I didn't hardly listen. I didn't listen to secular music. That's another thing that God took away from me. I listened to Joy FM. I listened to Christian music. Anytime there was a Bible study open, I went to it. Anytime the church was open, I seen what the program was. I signed up for it. Psychology, I want to know this. And that's how I started rebuilding my mind. We
Mm-hmm.
have to, just like I said earlier in a podcast today that I did, you have to make a conscious decision to be better today than you were yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's picking up trash as you're walking down the sidewalk, or even if it's holding the door for somebody. I didn't do that yesterday. Let me do that for you today. We have to consciously choose, and that's where the Lord, He's waiting, He's there. And that's how it was for me in prison, because it wasn't a cakewalk for me. I went toe to toe with girls, and I'm like, look, I got 22 years, you got 5 years. 22 good days off my 22 years, that's nothing off of your 5. So we can do this, or we can be like, you're right, and walk away. I was shaking in my boots every time that happened because I really didn't want to fight. I really didn't. But I was, you're not going to push me around just because I have this Jesus thing on me now. They forget. Like, we're not always this nice.
Right.
But, um, but I feel like for me, we always always hear people say, I don't want to become a product of my environment, right? Well, before we come to prison, because a lot of people say that as they're going into prison, right? I'm not going to become a product of my environment, right? Well, we forget that we were a product of our environment prior to coming in. So we're standing at the forks. We're seeing it. What am I going to do? Am I going to continue to live my life as if I've always lived my life on the streets? Because there's drugs, there's sex, there's all the things inside prison that there is out here in the world. It just has a different mask, right? It's all there. So what are you going to choose? Are you going to choose to do the right thing? Or are you going to choose to continue to live your life as you were because it's comfortable, it's familiar,
Right.
it change is hard. I'm going through that right now with my job. Change is hard.
Yeah, we I was telling the group today about how life is filled with choices, right?
And
We
God's right there.
we can do whatever we want to do. That's one thing God gave us. He gave us a free will.
Free
We
choice.
we, we can do whatever we want. We
Yeah.
I hate to say it because I don't know who I'm saying it, but they say you can have whatever you like. You know what I'm saying? So whatever you like, whatever you want, you can have it.
Yeah.
However, there's consequences to it
Yes.
for the
There's
choices that we
consequences to
do,
your actions. Like,
whether
okay, so
good or bad, right?
right. And change is hard. Change sucks. Can I say that?
Yeah.
It hurts. It's like are you going to walk the path that's well walked? Are you going to go over here and walk this thorny path that you don't know how you're going to get through it? So you're just going to trust God that He's going to do it. Like He took Moses, like, we're going to cross the Red Sea. How are we going to do that?
Mm-hmm.
He put the staff down and it split. You have to take the step of faith before God's going to walk in your life, before He's going to work in your life. He's there waiting.
So did you have to, since we come into choices, and I hear a lot of people say that. So when it came to your clemency, did you
Hmm.
have to put in for it? Did you make a
I did.
even when it's
Okay, so I was in Alabama, Aliceville, Alabama, and do you remember? I can't even think of their names now. One was Shannon. Uh, I don't even know their names, but they had been in prison for a long time, 20 years, 25 years. And
mm-hmm.
they're like, this is when the computers first started coming out, and everybody's on it, and Miss Soliday. Do you remember her, Soliday?
Mm-mm.
Tall white lady, always wore a green dress. Miss Soliday. She was grumpy, always grumpy.
It must
But
have been before I got there.
but she was. I called her Mama because she was like a mom, you know. 'Cause she'd been in there forever, and she's like came up to me and she's like, Candace, you need to fill out this for this clemency. So I looked at it and I'm like, well, I don't qualify.
Right.
I am a career criminal. I have the same case throughout, so I don't qualify for it. And they kept on me and kept on me and kept on me, and I'm like, okay, fine, fine, I'll get you off my back. And they literally stood over my shoulder
Mm-hmm.
watching me fill this clemency thing out. Okay, so you put this here, and I'm like, okay, why don't y'all just fill this out for me? Like, here you go, fill it out. And at one point, Miss Holiday sat down and started typing stuff, and I'm like, okay, so yes, I filled out for it, and I really didn't, and I just blew it off.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes time. It's, you know, you got to go through the court process. So I don't know. It took about maybe 6 months, and then I got a letter in the mail. Your clemency, your application has been is being revised by attorneys, and I'm like, what does this mean? I don't even know what this means. And they're like, oh, girl, this is good. I'm like, okay. So then another 4 to 6 months, I get another letter, and they're wanting to know just like what am I doing. They wanted progress reports, and I go to Miss Green and I'm like, Miss Green, I need a progress report on da 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 da. And then we get hit by a tornado. Remember that? Were you there? Were you in the FCI or the camp?
I was in FCI at the time.
Yeah, me too. So we get hit by a tornado, and then we're stuck inside, and then I get a letter from the courts asking me for my home plan. I'm like, home plan? I don't know. I have no idea about a home plan. What do you mean a home plan? I have no idea where I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
I have nobody. I mean, nobody that is living a different life than what I'm used to. So I don't have a home plan. And then I started talking to my great uncle, and he's like, you always have a home plan. As long as I'm alive, you have a home plan. And he's my great uncle. So I'm like, okay, here's my home plan. So I put in, you know, and I don't remember him. I didn't remember him because I was a little girl whenever, but we got to know each other over the years, you know, of me being in. So I put in for my home plan for his house, and then I put in for camp because my custody level had dropped. And then that's when Miss Green moved me over to the camp. And I think you followed shortly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I just kept getting letters, and I'm like, this is weird. There's my husband. Say hi.
He's like, no.
Yeah, dinner's done, babe. So I started just getting kind of excited, and they started like going through they started sending like letters out. Like there was two ways that you knew. You knew if you got it if you got a letter in the mail, then you got disqualified. You weren't getting it. But at the time, they were sending lists out. Remember the lists on the computer? And everybody was like, vultures, watching that. And they're like, my name's not on it. Still got a chance, right? So then if you got a letter, you didn't. If you got a letter, you didn't get it. If you didn't get a letter, then there's still a chance. So I'm working down at the commissary warehouse, and remember Kim?
Kim.
The Kim I was always with. She lives in Georgia too, or maybe no, she don't live in Georgia. But anyway, um, she was sitting with me one day whenever I came back from work outside, and it was January 17th of 2017. And I was like, well, I guess I'll get my letter in the mail tonight. And she's like, you still got a couple more hours. He's still in the office. And I was just like, I don't know. And then we're sitting outside, and they called me to the admin office about, I don't know, 3 o'clock, I guess, in the afternoon. And do you remember that day? Did you come? You came to the camp, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was at the camp. I thought they called your name over the speaker.
they
That was
did. They said, Candace, Candace
Yes.
Shipman, can you please come to the admin building? And I looked at Kim, I was like, she said, girl, if you don't get up and go. And about that time, everybody was coming out of the building and they're cheering and you guys are out there. And Heather, my friend Heather, nice to see. She came out and was looking, like everybody was looking, and I'm just like dragging my feet because I'm just like so scared, so nervous. It's like, is this my denial? Wait a minute, no, it's a phone call. It's an acceptance. Okay, so my life is about to change.
So you got clemency.
So I went into the office, I sat down, I stood up, I sat down, I stood up. I was so nervous, I was clammy. I'm just like so thirsty. I didn't take my water in, and I just sit there, Miss Hewitt. Does that sound familiar? Anyway, she's like, girl, just sit down. What is wrong? I was like, this is my clemency. And she's like, it's just an attorney phone call. And I'm like, yeah, it's my clemency. And she's like, well, what do you mean? And I told her, if you get a letter, then it's not. If you get a phone call, then you get it. Da 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 da. And she's just like, just sit down. I'm like, okay, can I go out and get some water? Like, my cup is like right outside the door. And she's like, yeah, I go out there. The hallway is full of people. They're like, did you get it? Did you get it? I said, I just need some water. And then I go back in and I get the phone call and I'm listening and they're telling me everything. And she's like, do you have any questions? I said, yeah, can you repeat that, please? And she just started laughing and I was like, I am so sorry. I didn't hear any of that. And she's like, no, you're good. It happens all the time. So she repeated it and I had to do a year treatment. And I was like, okay, so one more year. One more year. And I was like, okay, I can handle that. And she's like, and you would be transferred immediately. And I'm like, whoa, wait, what? Like, transferred, I can't do treatment here. She's like, no, you have to go to a treatment facility closest to your home, hopefully. And I'm like, okay, so I can go anywhere with the Bureau, right? Well, I ended up in Greenville, Illinois, and into treatment. And that was tough because I thought I had it all figured out by the time I did all the fixing I needed right in Ellisville. By all the psychology, I was good. I was good to go. Girl, no. I was still a mess. Because this treatment stuff, it brought some stuff out in me. And then I thought I was good. And then my son, my second oldest, he was going through his own mess. And we were talking one night, and he said, Mom, I want you to write my dad. And I'm like, why? He's like, well, him and his wife are getting divorced. And I was like, okay, I'm so sorry to hear that. And he's like, no, it's probably for the best. They haven't been happy for a while. And I was like, oh, well, I'm very sorry to hear that. And he's like, well, will you write my dad? And I was like, son, I'm probably the last person your dad ever wants to hear from. And he's like, I don't know. I said, okay, well, give me his address. He's like, I don't have it. I'm like, well, what do you mean? You want me to write your dad, but you don't have his address? Like, how am I supposed to do that? He's like, well, here's his phone number. So I got his phone number, and I sat on it for a while, and then I had one of my, this pen pal that I had, I call him Daddy Daycare because he took care of all of his kids. But I was like, hey, so can you find my ex-husband for me? And he's like, well, okay. I said, all I know is that he lives in a new build in this town, and here's his phone number. And within a few hours, he's like, is this him? And I was like, dang, that was quick. I was like, yep, that's him. So I sat on his address for a while and prayed. And then one day I just wrote him. It's like, hey, I'm probably the last person you thought you would ever hear from, and probably the last person you want to hear from. But, and then it goes on to say, and then I apologize for the wife that I was to him. I apologize for the person I was and the mother that I was back then because I had no clue. And this is a relationship that it was in my back pocket. I never spoke about. People knew that I had a son by my first husband, but we never spoke of that. Like, I never spoke his name. Do you remember Teresa Bruning? And she was in camp with us, but that was the only time that I ever mentioned my husband's name. because she had the same last name. And I was like, do you know, where are you from? And she's like, well, I'm from Troy, Missouri. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
Amen.
I said, so am I. And my husband's, relatives are from there. And she told me who they were. And I was like, the same. Like, we were cousins at one point. But that was the only time I had ever spoke of him. But then whenever I got to Bowling Green and he came back into my life and I finally allowed him to come visit, and he looked totally different than he did when we were together.
Hmm.
But to me, and he asked me, he's like, I look different, huh? I'm like, nope, you look exactly the way you should have always looked. And that right there, that statement scared the bejesus out of me because I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Because he was familiar and my heart knew. And I'm like, a lot of soul searching. I had a lot to figure out here. Have I always loved him? Have I always been in love with him? Because a heart never forgets.
Right.
And we meshed, and we still do. Like, I don't know. I said something. I'm corgi, right? So I had to come to prison to figure out who I was. I found out that I'm funny. I laugh at my own stupidity and my own silliness, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm 50 years old, and I don't act it at all. But then again, I don't know what a 50-year-old's supposed to act like. I don't know. I look at our family, my older people, and I'm like, man, they really acted old. I don't act like I'm
And, and
50.
and I will tell you, you're not acting like 50. You definitely don't look like 50.
Oh,
Okay.
well, bless you, sister.
But I want to say this because we don't have like 5 more minutes left.
Come here. I want to
So
show my husband. Come here,
okay,
babe.
so your husband. So you remarried your first
I
husband?
remarried my first husband. One statement that I said while I was in prison, I said, Lord, my first will be my last.
Mm,
Meaning, the first person I'm with when I get out will be my last.
amen.
Right? Well,
Uh-huh.
I did not know. When you take things to the Lord, He's very literal.
Yeah.
He's very literal. So, come here, babe.
I'm right here.
This is this is my first and my last husband. This is Mr. Paul
Amen.
Burning. He
Uh,
is
Uh-huh.
the other piece to my puzzle.
Look at there. And this is what God does.
This is
He'll
what
bring
God
you
does.
back together again. And so
Yes.
this is what your reentry looked like.
Yes. He
This
was
is
there from the moment I got out. From the moment we started talking again, he was there to visit me every weekend.
awesome.
Every weekend, even when I was down south. Farmington is what, 3 hours away?
no.
2.5? 2? I don't know.
Mm,
But when I first got
Almost
out,
two.
I was like almost 2 hours away in a halfway house, and he came down every weekend, every time I had a pass, and he came and got me, and we did something.
And let me ask you this question. This is to Mr. Bernie. When
Uh huh.
when y'all
Hold
divorced
on,
or
hold
you
on,
stopped,
hold
oh,
on. Let me turn this off. This question's for you, hon.
Oh.
Okay, you there, sister?
yeah.
Okay.
So when y'all separated initially, when you divorced her, did you ever see yourself going back to her again to be your wife again?
Mm, not early on, no.
Not early on. What changed it? What made it change?
Made it change?
Well,
Uh,
because you didn't realize that you was going to remarry her again early on. So
We were
where in your
separated for
relationship?
22 years.
yeah.
We didn't speak for 22 years. We didn't speak, we didn't see each other for 22 years.
So what was it that let you know that she's going to be my wife again?
Can I tell you?
No, he gonna tell me, Candace.
Tell me. Say it. Do you remember the visiting room? What'd I say?
What?
Okay, go ahead. You say it.
Just the fact that I never forgot. Yeah, I mean, she was always there in the back of my mind
Right.
the whole time. And, you know, when the opportunity came for us to come face to face again after all those years, um,
It was like
I didn't really know how it was going to go, but it
Mhm.
was so natural and just flowed without.
Effort
Yeah, it was so effortless, and it's just like all those years just kind of.
faded away.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Wow.
one thing that I had said while I was inside is that obviously the physical attraction was there, but I was in prison. And I told him, I said, I praise God that I'm here. And he's like, why? I said, because we have to get to know each other.
Mhm.
We have to mentally and emotionally get to know each other. Yeah,
Mhm.
there was arguing. I argued like because I was angry. I was angry at him for taking my son. I was angry for so many things, but at the same time, I never looked at me until I was in treatment. And then I had to look at this relationship and I had to, okay, he was right for doing what he did because of my extracurricular activities.
Right.
And so he was right for doing that. And God always brings things full circle. I will always give you back everything that the swarming locusts have eaten when you desire your heart yourself in the ways of the Lord.
It's amazing, and we're going to close, but the title was Candace's story of faith, clemency, and new beginning. And that's how we ended that new beginning again. He gave y'all another chance to begin again. So thank you, Candace. Thank you, Mr. Bruning,
You're
for
very-
being here. Thank you
You're
for
welcome.
loving my friend and my sister, and and just this was definitely God to bring you right back together.
Yes.
This should give people hope, that
Yeah. Well,
oh,
there's also another, and there has to be another one because we didn't talk about Cody.
oh yeah, that's right. I know.
So
Yeah.
there has to be another one
Yes.
because that right there is going to help people realize how to stay in the Lord in your trials and your struggles, even in the midst of losing a child.
Yeah, that's going to be the next part. We're gonna It's going to definitely be a part two
Yes,
because
absolutely.
what happened after incarceration. So we thank God for your new beginning because He was there, right?
Yes,
Your
absolutely.
husband was there through all this. So stay on, don't get off, okay?
Okay.
I'm gonna still
Okay.
talk to you a little bit after. But everyone, thank you for tuning in on tonight as we shared Candace's story of faith, clemency, and new beginning. Make sure you go to the YouTube channel and like and subscribe to it. Make sure you share it on your platform so other people can hear it. And like she and I already said, there's going to be a part two because there's more to the story. God bless you all and have a good rest of the week.
Bye.